Friends, if you want to watch super hit movie Mickey 17, then you must like this video. If you are visiting our channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Friends, in today's video, the movie we're going to talk about is called Mickey 17. We will talk about what this movie is, and where you can watch it, all the interesting facts about this movie. In today's video, I am going to tell you. I am also going to give you all the information on which our platform or on which satellite channel you will get to watch this movie. Also, we will talk in detail about the technical department, music department, pre-production, filming, post-production, budget, box office collection of this film. We will also talk about the story of this film, and I will also give you a small review of the story of this film. Apart from this, we will discuss about the facts of this film, storyline, star cast, active performance in the film, and which character has played which role. That's why I request you friends to watch this video till the end. So let's start the video. Write something like that for movie name, and year. Here's a third-person detailed analysis of character development in Mickey 17, assessing whether characters are layered, how they evolve, and how their relationships and motivations shape the narrative. Hashtag Bustin' Silhouette Mickey Barnes, Mickey 17 and Mickey 18. Asterisk Mickey 17 begins as timid, guilt-ridden, and resigned, a man branded expendable whose identity feels erased by repetition through his countless deaths and reprints. He gradually gains emotional depth and self-recognition. The contrast between his vulnerability and persistent humanity is portrayed through Pattinson's nuanced physicality and voice work, trembling vulnerability and passivity, seen in both tragic and absurd moments. View Mag, CO ends 1, asterisk Mickey 18, the impulsive duplicate, represents a sharper, more defiant version of Mickey, aggressive and unpredictable. He serves as catalyst for change by challenging Mickey 17 to recognize systemic injustice. Their evolving dynamic leads Mickey 17 to internalize a new perspective, seeing himself not just as a tool, but as someone worthy of autonomy, behaving like a twisted younger sibling. Mickey 18 gives Mickey 17 perspective and helps him grow emotionally. Asterisk together, both evolve. Mickey 17 gradually asserts agency. Mickey 18, who initially aims to kill Mickey 17, eventually sacrifices himself to save him and stop Marshall. This arc underlines a broader thematic journey, from resignation to rebellion, obliteration to meaningful legacy. Hashtag Two Hearts Nasha. Asterisk Nasha, Naomi Aki, is the film's emotional compass. As a security agent, she becomes the only person who truly values Mickey's personhood, no matter which version. She persists through serial deaths and welcomes both clones, symbolizing unwavering respect and love amid dehumanization. Their bond humanizes Mickey beyond his expendable status, turning each version into someone who matters. Polygon 2. Asterisk in the most poignant sequence, she enters a gas chamber with Mickey during testing, comforting him as he dies, an act described by critics as deeply moving and transcendent of physical discomfort or risk. Reddit 3. Asterisk her arc culminates in leadership. After Marshall's downfall, Nasha becomes a new colony leader and dismantles the expendable system. She transforms from caretaker to agent of systemic change, grounding Mickey's transformation within a broader social shift. Wikipedia 4. Hashtag man standing supporting characters. Asterisk Kenneth Marshall and Ilfa, Marshall Mark Ruffalo, and his wife Ilfa, Toni Collette, form a grotesque, self-mythologizing authoritarian duo. As caricatures of corporate political fusion, they lack empathy and thrive off exploitation. Ilfa, added for comedic absurdity and ideological reinforcement, amplifies Marshall's cult of personality. Their dynamic underscores the systemic dehumanization Mickey rebels against. CBR 5. Asterisk Timo, Berto in the novel, as Mickey's former best friend, Stephen Yoon. Timo betrays Mickey, leaving to die and profiting from illicit deals. His arc reflects internalized capitalist ambition. blind to Mickey's suffering until the system crushes him too. In the film, he remains cowardly and opportunistic, contrasting with novel subtleties, but still serves as a foil to Mickey's moral awakening. TheCinemaSpot.com 6. Asterisk Kai Katz, a security agent who discovers a clone's secret and tries to leverage it. Ambiguously bisexual, grief-driven, and sometimes opportunistic, Kai adds complexity but is less empathetic than Nasha. Opinions vary on Kai's depth, with some viewers finding her motivations more plot-driven than richly layered. TV Tropes 7. Hashtag counterclockwise arrows button transformation and relationships. Asterisk Mickey's arc. From voiceless expendable to self-aware rebel. Mickey 17's growth is marked by internal realizations, moral courage, and eventual rejection of the clone system, especially shown in the dream sequence and final act of destroying the printer, symbolizing rejection of external control. Reddit 8. Asterisk interclone relationship. Their uneasy alliance evolves into understanding and solidarity. Mickey 17 learns to assert himself from Mickey 18's more defiant persona, while Mickey 18 gains purpose through sacrifice. Asterisk romance's political bond. The love story with Nasha transcends cliché. It becomes a radical act of resistance against oppression. She sees and protects each Mickey, giving him value beyond function. Their bond catalyzes moral and structural change. Cinema Express 9. Hashtag performing arts emotional and thematic resonance. Asterisk Mickey's evolution critiques modern capitalism, seeing how systems erase individuality. His arc, migration from guilt and numbness toward agency, embodies the film's central theme. Refusing erasure is itself revolutionary. Asterisk Nasha's commitment anchors the emotional core. Through her, love becomes resistance. Through Mickey's growth, love shows that value is intrinsic, not assigned by corporate utility. Asterisk secondary characters reinforce themes rather than undergo major arcs. Marshall and Ilfa exemplify oppressive power. Kai illustrates opportunism, and Timo reflects self-interested survival, each shaping Mickey's path in their antagonistic capacity. Hashtag white heavy checkmark overall assessment. Characters in Mickey 17 are well developed and layered, especially those at the narrative center. Both Mickeys undergo meaningful transformation. Mickey 17 toward self-recognition, Mickey 18 from aggression to sacrificial clarity. Nasha evolved from lover to leader, embodying both compassion and systemic change. Their motivations, conflict, and interactions drive the emotional and thematic core of the film. Identity versus utility, human connection versus exploitative systems, and individual awakening versus oppressive hierarchy. Their arcs elevate the story from sci-fi satire to a resonant character drama about survival, value, and defiance in a disposable world. Hashtag in summary. Asterisk Mickey 17 and 18. Two sides of one soul, timid versus defiant, evolve into agency and self-sacrifice. Asterisk Nasha. The emotional and ideological anchor grows from romantic interest to movement leader. Asterisk supporting cast. Mirrors of ambition, oppression, and moral compromise. Their presence sharpens Mickey's arc. Asterisk relationships. Romantic, fraternal, and adversarial ties shape both internal growth and broader revolt. Let me know if you like a deeper exploration of a specific character, like Kai or Timo, or how their development compares to Edward Ashton's novel. Asterisk Polygon. https://www.polygon.com/movie/5338977/Mickey-17-review-Robert-Pattinson question @chatgpt.com. Asterisk The Verge. https://theverge.com/movie-review/6254966/Mickey-17-review-question-UTM_source=UTM_chatgpt.com. Asterisk The Washington Post. https://www.washingtonpost.com/entertainment/movies/2025/03/07/Mickey-17-review/question-UTM_source=Equal_Sign-ChatGPT.com. 1. https://viewmag.nz/Mickey-17-dr-bong-june-o/question mark. Here's an in-depth third-person analysis of Mickey 17's plot and narrative structure, exploring how the story unfolds, its structure, key turning points, conflicts, and emotional and thematic impact. Hashtag Cyclone narrative structure and time. While the narrative moves generally forward in chronological order, it opens in medias res and plays somewhat with memory and perspective. Asterisk begins at a critical point. Mickey 17 is dying in a crevasse. The story then unfolds as he reflects on how he got there, pulling us back to earlier events on Earth and during the voyage. Wikipedia 1. Asterisk memory and identity play critical roles. Each clone inherits previous memories, yet the appearance of Mickey 18 disrupts the sense of continuity and forces Mickey 17 to confront his own mortality and individuality. Vocal 2. Asterisk a dream sequence near the finale further disrupts realism, functioning as psychological flashback/fantasy, revealing Mickey's internal conflict and fears, especially toward Ilfa and the misuse of the printer. Cosmopolitan Re. Thus, while it is largely linear, the film deploys internal reflections and subjective dream logic at key moments to shift perspective. Hashtag compass act break map and key turning points. Hashtag act I, escape and expendable setup. Asterisk opening in the crevasse. Mickey 17 dying intro sets tone. Asterisk flashback to Earth. Mickey and Timo in debt sign up for expedition to Nibelheim as a path to escape. Mickey becomes expendable, a disposable clone worker. Wikipedia 1. Asterisk on board the ship. Romance with Nasha develops amid oppressive, authoritarian regime under Kenneth Marshall and his wife Ilfa. The Verge 4. Hashtag Act 2, deaths, cloning, and self-discovery. Asterisk Mickey dies repeatedly during experiments and exploration. Each death leads to a new clone with memories intact, until he's Mickey 17, who survives a mission to collect creeper life forms. Wikipedia 1. Asterisk on Nibelheim. Mickey 17 falls in a fissure. Timo leaves him behind, and creepers rescue him instead of killing him, complicating his relationship with biology, value, identity. Wikipedia 1. Asterisk climax of Act 2 asterisk. Mickey returns to find Mickey 18 has already been printed, violating protocol against multiples. The two clones must contend with each other and systemic rules. Hashtag Act 3. Crisis, sacrifice, and resolution. Asterisk conflict escalates. Mickey 18 becomes hostile. Marshall deems duplicates illegal. Tension peaks during a dinner scene and confrontation with Kai and Nasha. Wikipedia 1. Asterisk creepers, originally considered alien threats, demand return of their baby Zoko and human sacrifice. Negotiations break down under Marshall's aggression. Collider 5. Asterisk the climax. Mickey 17 negotiates via translation device. Mickey 18 detonates himself and kills Marshall, fulfilling creeper demands and stopping human cruelty. Wikipedia 1. Asterisk final resolution. Nasha rises as leader. The colony begins to coexist with creepers. Mickey 17, now simply Mickey Barnes, destroys the expendable printing machine, and in cloning abuse. Wikipedia 1. Asterisk a dream sequence/fantasy as epilogue. Mickey imagines Ilfa and Marshall seeking immortality, but snaps awake and pulls a lever to end the system, a psychological reveal of his agency. Cosmopolitan Re. Hashtag cross swords, conflicts, and emotional stakes. Asterisk inner conflict. Mickey's repeated deaths impoverish his sense of identity and self-worth until confronted with his own clone, forcing realization that each Mickey is a unique person, not merely continued consciousness. Reddit 6. Asterisk external conflict. Mickey versus corporate political regime represented by Kenneth Marshall and Ilfa, who view expendables as disposable resources. The Verge 4. Asterisk moral conflict. Humanity's colonizing mission versus creepers' rights. Mickey's alliance with creepers challenges colonial arrogance and technological exploitation. Collider 5. Hashtag performing arts thematic and emotional impact. Asterisk identity and agency. The existence of Mickey 18 shatters Mickey's illusion of continuity, forcing him to reclaim autonomy, not simply be reprinted whenever needed. Asterisk exploitation and capitalism. The expendables symbolize gig economy labor and systemic exploitation. Their sacrifices fuel Marshall's expansionist corporate utopia. Outlook India, 7. High on Films, 8. Asterisk Technology's double-edged sword. The cloning/printer offers immortality while dehumanizing. Mickey's final act of Destroy affirms that humanity beats immortality when freedom is at stake. Astor's colonial critique in ecology. Creepers, initially seen as threats, turn out sentient. Mickey bridges communication, offering a model of respect rather than domination. Asterisk dark humor and satire. Bong Joon-ho uses absurdity and comedic tone, especially through over-the-top performances of Marshall and Ilfa, to satirize political narcissism and corporate control. Outlook India, 7. Hashtag, white heavy checkmark conventional or experimental. While Mickey 17 maintains a basically linear progression, it introduces both narrative complexity and psychological layers. Asterisk starts in media res, uses retrospection. Asterisk splits identity between two versions. Asterisk includes subjective dream/fantasy that alters tone. Asterisk and uses speculative sci-fi to probe existential crises. It is not fully nonlinear, but experiments through subjective internal sequences and identity disruption, making it richer than a typical three-act structure, even if critics noted its narrative can feel uneven or sprawling in the second half. Vanity Fair 9. Hashtag summary table. Phase, key events, conflict/impact. Opening/setup, Mickey 17 in crevasse, flashback to Earth debt, and signing as expendable introduces stakes. Identity theme. Middle multiple deaths, reprinting romance. Arrival on Nibelheim. Rescue by Creeper builds ethical, existential, and political tension. Twist appearance of Mickey 18, multiples forbidden. Identity crisis. External crackdown. Climax, Creeper uprising. Marshall's genocide plan. Mickey 18's sacrifice, moral showdown. Shift in power structure. Resolution, Mickey 17 becomes self, determined, printer destroyed. New leadership under Nasha, Mickey reclaims agency. Systemic change. Dream/epilogue, Mickey's nightmare. Destruction of printer symbolically resolved, internal liberation. Thematic closure. Hashtag, clapperboard in conclusion. Mickey 17 unfolds as a satirical sci-fi odyssey that builds from a linear reinstantiation of events into a multi-layered exploration of identity, power, and freedom. Its turning points, from Mickey 17's repeated deaths to the shocking reveal of Mickey 18, through ethical standoffs with colonizers and creeper negotiation, drive emotional potency. Its somewhat experimental structure, particularly T. Here's a third-person detailed evaluation of performances in Mickey 17. Emphasizing how the actors breathe life into their characters and elevate the emotional and thematic resonance of the piece. Clapperboard Robert Pattinson, Mickey 17 and Mickey 18. Robert Pattinson's dual performance stands out as the film's emotional and technical cornerstone. Critics unanimously praise Pattinson for creating two fully distinct identities. Mickey 17 as meek and weary, Mickey 18 as aggressive and volatile, through subtle shift in posture, vocal tone, and facial expression. Decider, +15. Upthrust, CO, +15. Rotten Tomatoes editorial, +15. Decider, +6. Rotten Tomatoes editorial, +6. Theater Bite, +6. He transitions from self-loathing, depressing resignation to defiant, swaggering boldness without veering into caricature, demonstrating impressive comedic timing and emotional range. Reddit. Many reviewers call this perhaps his career-defining role, noting that the film barely manages to contain the performance, which consistently steals focus, sometimes even rescuing a sprawling script. From Reddit discussions, he subtly distinguishes Mickey 17 from Mickey 18 with remarkable nuance. He's a marvel, making them such distinct characters. Even standing still. Cineramble.com, +15. Reddit, +15. The Guardian, +15. Reddit. Glowing star Naomi Aki, Nasha. Aki grounds the film's moral and emotional center, portraying Nasha with warmth, resolve, and unwavering empathy. Decider. plus 12. Upthrust CO, plus 12. Latest OY, plus 12. Her chemistry with Pattinson, especially as she interacts with both Mickey identities, energizes a narrative and humanizes the existential stakes. The Guardian, plus 10. The Escapist, plus 10. Upthrust CO, plus 10. Nasha evolves credibly from romantic interest to moral companion to reluctant leader, anchoring Mickey's own emotional progression. Reddit, plus 15. Upthrust CO, plus 15. CBR, plus 15. Man-Vampire Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette, Kenneth Marshall, and Ilfa. Mark Ruffalo plays the over-the-top colonial leader with enjoyable excess. A cartoonish amalgam of cult leaders and modern autocrats. Many critics note his satire teeters toward caricature, either hilariously effective or tonally jarring. New York Post, plus 7. The Washington Post, plus 7. Screen Realm, plus 7. Toni Collette delivers a bold, eccentric whirlwind as Ilfa, quirky, grotesque, and often delightfully off-kilter. Her performance balances Ruffalo's bombast, giving the overblown power duo some comic cohesion. Nerdist, plus 2. Upthrust CO, plus 2. Screen Realm, plus 2. Man-standing Steven Yeun, Timo. Yeun offers a layered take on Mickey's friend-turned-foil. His Timo is opportunistic and morally fraught, torn between loyalty and survival. While his arc is somewhat underwritten, his restrained performance adds emotional weight in key scenes, especially around betrayal and accountability. Theater Bite, plus 4. Latest OY, plus 4. Upthrust CO, plus 4. Clipboard supporting cast. Other minor characters, including Anna Maria Vartolomei's feminist officer and various expedition crew, enliven the colony's dysfunctional comedy. The frenetic, amateurish dynamic enhances the tone of absurdity and satire. Latest OY. Collision summary and emotional resonance. Pattinson anchors the emotional journey. His portrayal of Mickey highlights themes of identity, disposability, self-worth, and resistance. Audiences and critics describe him as a blast, a revelation, and predict major industry recognition, especially for his ability to carry the film through sheer performance power. Reddit. Aki's empathy softens a sci-fi satire with genuine heart. Her chemistry with Pattinson is anchored in emotional realism. Nerdist, plus 15. Latest OY, plus 15. The Times, plus 15. Ruffalo and Collette's exaggerated satire serve as a conscious foil to the film's moral axis, though opinions vary, some praising the absurdity, while others find it over the top or disconnected. White-heavy checkmark verdict. Do the performances enhance the story? Absolutely. Robert Pattinson's dual portrayal is the bedrock of Mickey 17, turning a high-concept sci-fi premise into an emotionally compelling journey. Naomi Ackie elevates the film's moral center with grace and sincerity. Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette provide sharp satirical contrast, capturing the grotesque ambition of power in the film's political underbelly. Even if not everyone finds her portrayals tonally consistent, Steven Yeun contributes complexity in his limited screen time, serving as a credible moral foil. Overall, these performances blend to add emotional depth, believability, and comedic vitality to a sprawling, sometimes uneven narrative. At its strongest, Mickey 17 is as much about acting craft as about visual spectacle, and the cast definitely delivers. Let me know if you like breakdowns of specific scenes or interaction dynamics. Here's a third-person, in-depth analysis of Bong Joon-ho's directorial approach in Mickey 17, focusing on tone, mood, stylistic devices, pacing, and narrative vision. Directed overall vision, Bong's signature satirical sci-fi. Bong Joon-ho shapes Mickey 17 as a genre-blending satirical sci-fi piece, equal parts absurd comedy, political allegory, and existential drama. The film revisits themes familiar from Snowpiercer, Okja, and Parasite, refracted to a future where human clones are literally disposable labor. Bong's method combines dark humor with sharp social critique, dramatizing the cruelty of hyper-interchangeable capitalism with both absurdity and emotional force. El Pace, plus 15. The Washington Post, plus 15. Los Angeles Times, plus 15. Roger Ebert. Performing arts tone and mood, slapstick, cynical, and sometimes shaggy. Bong's tone oscillates dramatically. Slapstick and withering satire dominate many early scenes. The meat printer sequence, Mickey's grotesque deaths. The absurd pomp of Marshall's cult-like speeches. These comedic tones act as sugarcoating for Bong's darker political critique, marrying entertainment with existential unease. Wikipedia. Yet in the third act, the film's tonal balance fractures. Overstuffed sequences involving creepers and authoritarian violence become jarring, and some critics found the satire turn heavy-handed and chaotic. Reddit, +1. Reddit, +1. Movie camera stylistic signature, visual texture and genre fluidity. Production design and cinematography are key to the film's atmosphere. Darius Kanji's washed-out, gritty visuals and Fiona Crombie's industrial, claustrophobic interiors evoke a grimy future world, not sleek sci-fi utopia. The colony and the ship feel lived in, grimy and oppressive, visual metaphors for mechanized dehumanization. chrisworld.singaporeair.com. +15. Los Angeles Times. +15. The Movie Review. +15. Bong storyboard each sequence meticulously, giving the film a precision in framing and visual rhythm that reflects his documentary-like world-building. Reddit, +9. Los Angeles Times. +9. Wikipedia. +9. Genre blending is central. The film shifts between slapstick comedy, domestic romance, sci-fi horror, and satirical thriller, often within a single scene. These oscillations echo the instability of Mickey's existence and underscore themes of chaos and disposability. The Astromech, +1. The Cinema Group, +1. Stopwatch pacing and narrative rhythm. The editing style varies. The first 105 minutes deliver a brisk, inventive pace. Rapid introductions, repeated deaths, tonal jumps that keep the audience engaged. El Pace, +15. The Movie Review, +15. Cineramble.com, +15. Yet critics and viewers noted a drop-off in pacing during the third act. Scenes drag, tonal transitions feel abrupt, and plot threads, like the creepers and Marshall's regime, crowd the final act without careful build-up. Many felt the film went off the rails after the assassination setup. From Reddit, the pacing was too consistent, like things just kept happening at the same speed. The third act switched to Asterisk Oakja 2.0 with an uninteresting and drawn-out turn. Reddit, counterclockwise arrows button emotional and thematic impact. Bong's direction accentuates the emotional resonance of Mickey's plight. Visual motifs like the clone printer and Mickey's repeated deaths become visceral symbols of dehumanization, amplified by the film's sickly humor and deadpan tone. The Movie Review, +12. The Cinema Group, +12. The Washington Post, +12. His orchestration of tonal swing creates a sense of unpredictability that mirrors Mickey's own unstable identity, pressure cooker humor dissolving into moral crisis. In terms of politics, Bong frames Marshall as a satirical demagogue, blending traits of real-world populists into a cartoonish villain, yet done on purpose, to subvert audiences into laughter before landing the societal critique. White heavy checkmark summary. Directorial strengths and misfires. Strengths. Unmistakable visual style and world building. Analog tech looks, tactile sets, decaying interiors evoke corporate dystopia persuasively. Genre dexterity. Bong's skillful shifts between comedy, horror, and philosophical drama keep the film lively and unpredictable. Emotional intelligence. His playful touch makes Mickey's deaths funny yet poignant, allowing tragic themes to emerge organically. Weaknesses. Tone inconsistencies. The final segments feel tonally overloaded, as satire gives way to sensory chaos. Uneven pacing and focus. Third act crowding of themes, colonial conflict, clone psychology, interpersonal politics, creates narrative fatigue and fragmentation. Critics suggest the project might have worked better as a series. Reddit, +15. Koimwa, +15. Los Angeles Times, +15. Los Angeles Times, +3. Reddit, +3. VI to web-platforms-6.nyt.net, +3. Clapperboard Final Take. From a third-person narrative standpoint, Bong Joon-ho shapes Mickey 17 with a distinct voice, a maverick director who blends slapstick, satire, and sci-fi spectacle into political allegory. His stylistic choices, gritty visuals, tonal unpredictability, genre shifts, all amplify the film's thematic pillars: exploitation identity, failing utopian ambition. Yet the film betrays some internal tension. While the first two acts brim with invention and emotional clarity, the third act's expansion overwhelms its earlier momentum. Ultimately, Bong's direction enhances the film's impact in moments, delivering memorable sequences, audacious satire, and stunning visual motifs. Yet beneath the ambition, signs of imbalance emerge. As one Reddit commenter put it, "There are two Bong Joon-hos in Mickey 17, a duo whose conflicting impulses lead the film toward both brilliance and unevenness." Reddit, The Ringer, you said, Mickey 17 cinematography. How do camera angles, lighting, and framing contribute to the storytelling? Are there visually striking moments that stand out? Does the cinematography create atmosphere, tension, or beauty in key scenes? Explain from third-person perspective. Discuss in great detail. ChatGPT said, from a third-person standpoint, Mickey 17 uses meticulously crafted cinematography, courtesy of Darius Kanji, to elevate the storytelling with visual precision, atmosphere, and dynamic contrast. Clapperboard visual rhythm, camera, light, and framing. Methodical shot design. Each camera position, lens choice, and framing was storyboard and advanced, following Bong's detailed visual sheet music. Kanji and Bong aligned closely to ensure rhythm and pacing of each scene were pre-mapped before shooting began, making every image intentional. Cadena SCR, plus 14. The American Society of Cinematographers, plus 14. The Times, plus 14. Lens and camera setup. Using the ARRI Alexa 65 and a mix of Vega Prime and Cooke S7/I lenses offer both clarity and expressive cinematic texture. Scenes are sharp, with controlled depth and movement tailored to emotional beats. Reddit, plus 2. The American Society of Cinematographers, plus 2. Wikipedia, plus 2. New moon lighting and mood. Balanced yet moody illumination. Interiors lean heavily on muted grays and pale green tones, receiving criticism as a somewhat flat palette. Yet this visual austerity reinforces the oppressive and utilitarian environment of the colony and ship. Contrast between interior and exterior. Indoor scenes feel claustrophobic and shadowed, with precise tungsten or indirect light for a harsh, industrial glow. Outdoor shots, in contrast, especially on Nibelheim, are brighter, colder, and stark, offering emotional relief and emphasizing the planet's hostile beauty. Screen Addict, plus 6. Myson Cinematic, plus 6. India Forums, plus 6. Snow-capped mountain iconic moments and visual storytelling. Opening crevasse sequence. The film's first shot, Mickey wiping snow from his goggles in a frozen cave, delivers breathless introspection and foreboding. Snow-laden textures and rugged framing introduce tension immediately. The Australian, plus 5. TheCinemaSpot.com, plus 5. Sunny'sPaceUndefined.com, plus 5. Isolation chamber and printer reveal. A hazmat-suited character in close quarters accentuates Mickey's disposability. The printer room shots emphasize mechanical coldness, highlighting how humanity is reduced to organism and output. TheCinemaSpot.com. Atmospheric inoculation montage. The sequence where clones are exposed and vaccinated to Nibelheim's air uses a blend of tight close-ups, sterile light, and rapid editing, capturing physical strain and collective sacrifice in visceral detail. Myson Cinematic, plus 2. TheCinemaSpot.com, plus 2. The Australian, plus 2. Movie camera framing and composition. Industrial corridors and spiral staircases. Production design complements cinematography. Spiral staircases visually echo the cyclical cancer of cloning and reincarnation. Vertical framing and layered depth highlight themes of hierarchy and structure. Spatial interplay. Interiors often confine characters in tight compositions, letting the frame breathe, in exterior shots to convey liberation or threat, emphasizing emotional stakes through spatial design. Balanced scale atmosphere, tension and subtext, claustrophobia and dread. The densely shot interiors, with muted lighting and rigid framing, evoke a sense of entrapment, mirroring Mickey's emotional and existential imprisonment. The Times, +4, Screen Daily, +4, Roger Ebert, +4, Alien Worlds texture. The broad, icy vistas of Nibelheim and fog-shrouded landscapes provide atmospheric drama and underscore isolation and colonial desolation. Subtle tension in close-ups, tight framing and soft lighting in emotional scenes, such as Nasha accompanying Mickey, bring immediate intimacy, grounding the film's dystopian spectacle in personal humanity. Abacus tension versus visual dynamism. While the visual style is strong, some critics noted that scenes felt visually static or overly restrained. Cameras sometimes glued to tripods, lacking dynamic movement, perhaps due to VFX requirements. Still, once the imagery clicks, it carries weight. Time Out, +1, Screen Daily, +1, White Heavy checkmark summary assessment. Storytelling enriched by visuals. Cinematography and lighting aren't decorative. They serve thematic exposition and emotional tone. From interiors that feel mechanized to exteriors that taste cold loneliness, visual language is integral. Visual storytelling highlights key themes. Repetition, dehumanization, rebellion, and sacrifice are reinforced through shot design, light tone, and spatial contrast. Standout visuals. The crevasse opener, the printer room coldness, the inoculation montage, and the oppressive corridors all stand out as visually striking and emotionally resonant. The cinema spot, the calm. Atmosphere and tension. Cinematography builds dread and alienation in early acts and switches to expansive, visceral imagery in later acts to convey the scale of ethical collision and moral stakes. Film frame's final take. From a third-person perspective, Mickey's 17 cinematography, under Darius Kanji's lens, masterfully balances rigor and mood. Lighting and framing are steeped in metaphor, echoing themes of disposability, industrial alienation, and fragile identity. While visual dynamism falters occasionally under the weight of VFX or pacing, when it works, especially in cold landscapes, tight interiors, and symbolic compositions, the film's emotional resonance and visual impact soar, grounding Bong Joon-ho satire in lived visual texture. Let me know if you like scene-by-scene visual breakdowns or symbolic framing comparisons with Bong's earlier films. Here's a third-person, in-depth analysis of Mickey 17 with a focus on editing and pacing, evaluating how the film's rhythm influences engagement, tone, and narrative effectiveness. ## stopwatch, overall flow and tone. From a structural perspective, Mickey 17 exhibits a highly ambitious rhythm that initially secures audience attention with inventive setups and visual flair. However, many critics and viewers report persistent momentum issues, particularly in the second act. The film's first act opens with high energy and conceptual clarity, effectively establishing the premise through flashbacks and repeated death sequences. Critics note the early segments as crackling and dense with creativity, setting a lively tone from the outset. AP News 1. As the narrative progresses into Act 2, the momentum wavers. Prolonged exposition, wandering subplots, and dialogue-heavy scenes slowed down the flow. Multiple reviewers described this middle stretch as lacking urgency and focal purpose. ## balance scale, editing style, seamless or scattershot. ## early editing strengths. Bong Joon-ho's collaboration with editor Jean Ma-young delivers a confident initial rhythm. Quick cuts, repeated montage sequences of Mickey's deaths, and transitions that reinforce the film's satirical absurdity. Actor reflection suggests Bong uses on-set editing with daily rough cuts, testing pacing and tone early, often adding temp music to shape emotional timing before final assembly. ## middle to late editing weaknesses. In Act 2, some scenes feel overextended, with over-explanation and extended dialogue contributing to narrative drag. Key plot threads, like conflict between different clones or subplots involving secondary characters, are introduced and abandoned or rushed. RL Terry Real View 2. The tone remains overly consistent, lacking the escalatory trajectory typical of Bong's earlier works. One Reddit user commented, "It's as if there were 5 different variations of a script, smashed together, and the pacing was too consistent, like things just kept happening at the same speed. Reddit 3, hashtag Clapperboard Act 3, tension versus chaos. Asterisk, the third act does bring stronger engagement for many viewers, reaching emotional and narrative peaks, but often at the expense of clarity. Critics note the film careens toward its climax with frenetic and unfocused energy, bureaucratic and unconvincingly existential. There's a sense that urgency is retrofitted rather than earned. Flix.com.au for asterisk key sequences involving the alien creepers and the highlight confrontation scenes land unevenly. Some described as imaginative, others as overly expository or convoluted. Hashtag thinking face emotional and narrative impact of the rhythm. Asterisk emotionally, the montage-heavy editing in early acts effectively conveys the tragedy and repetitive horror of Mickey's gig job life. These transitions evoke empathy and dark humor simultaneously. AP News 1, asterisk, but slower patches in the middle reduce urgency and emotional investment. Dialogue-heavy scenes linger just long enough to undercut satirical momentum, or become redundant. Asterisk in contrast, the final musical score and montage editing elevate the existential stakes. Critics cite how the drama of Mickey's final moments and his ultimate decision, destroying the printer, benefit from concise editing and tonal gravitas. Hashtag brain summary table of editing and pacing. Sequence, flow, and engagement notes. Act 1 energizing, dense with concept and stakes, strong setup through fast cuts and montage. Act 2 momentum stalls, inconsistent pacing, sluggish subplots, over-narration. Act 3 climactic intensity with tonal volatility, rush of ideas, emotional highlights uneven. Overall bold and inventive, but uneven in structure, editing shines early, but stutters later. Hashtag white heavy checkmark final evaluation. From a third-person narrative standpoint, Mickey 17 delivers peaks of editorial creativity and engagement, especially in the early setup and concluding payoffs. However, the excessive middle stretch and tonal consistency dilute its energy. This uneven editing style leads to a film that can feel both dragging and rushed, suffering from narrative sprawl, despite strong visual and emotional ambition. While the editing in the final act redeems some earlier inertia, the mismatched rhythm and inconsistent pacing ultimately undermine the full impact of what feels like a sprawling, ambitious, but at times overly indulgent sci-fi satire. If you like, I can analyze scene-level rhythm in the depth montages or pacing differences between character subplots. 1. https://apnews.com/article/1C15B89B206 66030F17F044239 CA !UTM_source=ChatGPT.com movie review. Always time to die? In Mickey 17, Robert Pattinson just can't manage to stay alive. 2. https://RLTerryRealView.com/2025/03/07/Mickey17film/source=ChatGPT.com Mickey 17 film review RL Terry Real View. 3. https://www.reddit.com/r/movie/comments/1J9 SCBD?mark UTM_source=ChatGPT.com David Sims talks to Bong Joon-ho about Mickey 17. 4. https://www.flix.com AU/features/Mickey-17- is dash a dash massive dash messy dash upscale dash of dash bong dash June dash hose dash cinema /UTM_source=ChatGPT.com Mickey 17 is a massive, messy upscale of Bong Joon-ho cinema. From a third-person narrative perspective, the soundtrack and score of Mickey 17, composed by Young Jae-il, play a pivotal role in enhancing both atmosphere and emotional depth, using recurrent motifs, well-placed silence, and stylistic contrast to reinforce Bong Joon-ho's thematic vision. Hashtag musical notes composer and musical approach. Young Jae-il, known for scoring Okja and Parasite, spent 3 years crafting the Mickey 17 score. Recorded across Abbey Road, London, Teldex, Berlin, and Budapest studios with the London Symphony Orchestra and London Voices Choir. He describes this work as his most classical and intimate collaboration with Bong yet. Wikipedia 1. He draws on his Central European classical training to create minimalist, circular, and sometimes hypnotic soundscapes, a deliberate metaphor for systemic control and identity entrapment in the narrative. Cam Sugar Journal-2. ## compass key themes and recurring motifs. ## Bon Appetit and circular elegance. * the central theme, Bon Appetit, echoes Johann Strauss' Tooth waltzes, evoking quiet absurdity. Critics note how this motif undercuts the grim reality of Mickey's repeated deaths by cloaking them in refined musical irony. Cam Sugar Journal-2. ## Mickey's Humanity. Barnes, Frog, * tracks like Barnes, Frog, and use sparse piano or unrecorded textures to emphasize Mickey's vulnerability, childhood memories, and guilt. In interview, Jung explains he sourced these pieces from script impressions. Bong plays Barnes under the closing credits, deepening emotional resonance. John Bowles, 3. ## dark comedy and chaos. Mayhem, chaos. * in contrast. Tracks such as Mayhem, Corridor of Love, Set Off, and Chaos deploy full orchestral and choral force to underscore the film's violent absurdity and escalating tension. Critics call these compositions ambitious, manic, and purposefully parodic, often riding high on orchestral crescendos. Soundtrack World Com for ## musical score use of silence and contrast. Multiple reviews highlight the strategic absence of background score during many dialogue-heavy or transitional scenes. In doing so, the film leans into tonal dissonance. Subsidious comedic junctures segue without musical guidance, reflecting the film's thematic intention that cruelty and absurdity can exist without orchestration. This silence can sharpen emotional ambiguity, but may occasionally reduce tonal clarity for less attentive viewers. ## iMusical emotional effects. * intimacy and reflection. Quiet piano cues and emotional sequences, e.g. Mickey's memories, grief, or romantic moments with Nasha, create emotionally grounded space against the film's broader satirical canvas. The Pace Chronicle 5, John Bowles 3, * absurdity and satire. The whimsical waltzes and off-kilter motifs in early to mid-sequences amplify the unnatural comedy of Mickey's expendable life. * climactic elevation. In the final act, the score crescendos into sweeping orchestral and choral climaxes. The shift from chamber to epic scale underscores the weight of moral reckoning, conflict, and sacrifice, especially in the alien creep of negotiation, and Mickey 18 self-sacrifice. Soundtrack World Com for John Bowles 3. ## puzzle piece seamless integration or overpowering. The soundtrack is generally praised for its fit with Bong's direction. Critics acknowledge its idiosyncratic palette and tonal risks, and most find it admirably aligned with the film's dual identity, comedic absurdity and existential critique. Reddit 6. That said, some reviews argue the album drags when heard independently, suggesting the music is more contextually effective when paired with visuals and as a standalone listening experience. Others, like one outlet from South Africa, criticize it as forgettable. Once you've heard one theme, you've heard them all. Still, this opinion remains in the minority. # clipboard summary table. Element description. Composer, Jung Jil, classical, intimate, 6-year collaboration with Bong. Key themes, Bon Appetit, absurd waltz, Barnes, piano hymn, mayhem/chaos, orchestral satire. Silence use, strategic absence of score amplifies tonal ambiguity and emotional realism. Emotional effect creates empathy, irony, tension, varies from intimate to grandiose. Integration with film, seamless tonal fit for most. Rare moments feel repetitive or overambitious. Standout sequences, opening death montages, dark waltz. Memory cues, piano. Final battle, orchestral climax. ## White heavy checkmark final evaluation. From a third-person narrative lens, the Mickey 17 score is an integral emotional and thematic amplifier. Jung Jil crafts a complex musical dialect that links Mickey's cyclical fate, emotional fragility, and moral reckoning, alternating between whimsical absurdity and dramatic authority. The use of silence, minimalism, and staged orchestral escalation adds depth without overpowering. While not without critics, the score is widely celebrated for translating Bong's dystopian satire into sonic form, reinforcing Mickey 17's unique tonal interplay of comedy, existential dread, and human warmth. Would you like a listening guide linked to specific film scenes or deeper breakdowns of motif recurrence? 1. https:// wikipedia.org/wiki/Mickey_17_ 28 soundtrack $29?UTM_source =ChatGPT.com Mickey 17 soundtrack. 2. https://camtagarden.com/editorial/dystopian violent and alienating. The Mickey soundtrack is a metaphor for our society. Dystopian, violent, and alienating. The Mickey 17 soundtrack is a metaphor for our society. Cam Sugar Journal. 3. https://johnbowles11.wordpress.com/2025/04/04/interview-yung-j-il-mickey-1/UTM_source =ChatGPT.com review. Jung Jil, Mickey 17, John Bowles. 4. https://soundtrackworld.com/2025/04/Mickey-17-jung-j-il/UTM_source =ChatGPT.com Mickey 17, Jung Jil, Soundtrack World. 5. https://pacechronicle.com/opinion/2025/03/1/3/Mickey-17review/UTM_source =ChatGPT.com Mickey 17 Review, The Pace Chronicle. 6. https://www.reddit.com/r/box office/comments/1IQ7FP8 UTM_source =ChatGPT.com Mickey 17 Review Thread. Here's a third-person, in-depth analysis of the deeper themes and messages in Mickey 17, examining how effectively they land and what thought-provoking ideas the film leaves behind. Brick core themes and deeper messages. 1. Expendability and labor exploitation. At its core, Mickey 17 is a satire of modern capitalism, portraying protagonist as a literal expendable worker who could be replaced on demand. This reflects critiques of gig economy labor, systemic disposability, and the commodification of human life. Mickey's value lies only in function, not personhood. El Pace, +15. The Astromech, +15. Habel Mosmany, +15. Habel Mosmany. 2. Identity, selfhood, and technology. Through repeated deaths and reprinting, the film interrogates what defines identity. When two versions of Mickey coexist, Mickey 17 and 18, it forces existential questioning. Is identity defined by memories, embodiment, or something deeper? The story probes whether consciousness and personhood can be replicated, and whether technology can undermine human dignity. Vanity Fair, +3. Decider, +3. Vulture, +3. 3. Capitalism, class, and authoritarianism. The character Kenneth Marshall exemplifies corporate political fusion. Under his rule, the colony accepts authoritarian governance as part of the extraction machine, and even rallies around it. Bong critiques systems that justify cruelty, perform popular spectacle, and manipulate the masses into complacency. Vulture, +3. The Astromech, +3. ThePeoplesMovies.com, +3. 4. Colonialism and environmental ethics. On Nibelheim, humans treat the indigenous creepers as threats or resources, revealing colonial attitudes and ecological blind spots. The film draws parallels between human arrogance toward ecosystems and real-world imperialism. Mickey's alliance with the Crepe RS challenges planetary entitlement. Alpha, +15. Westmount Magazine, +15. The Astromech, +15. 5. resistance, and self-determination. Mickey's evolution, from resigned clone to rebel who destroys the printing system, marks a narrative of reclamation. His disruption of the system symbolizes the power of solidarity and personal awakening. His relationship with Nasha and his partnership with his duplicate underscore that identity and freedom emerge through connection and collective action. The astromech, artist palette execution, and depth, effective or overstuffed. Many critics and viewers commend Mickey 17 for tackling big ideas: identity, capitalism, mortality, environmentalism. Yet some felt the film introduces too many themes without deeply exploring any single one. Rather than sustained focus, it flits between existential, political, and ecological commentary, leaving some arcs underdeveloped. Reddit, +9. Reddit, +9. Reddit, +9. A Reddit critic summed this up. It felt like it has a lot of different ideas without really diving into one in detail. Reddit, +1. Reddit, +1. Reddit. Another noted that the third act sometimes simplifies philosophical complexity into a straightforward say the baby/kick out the dictator dynamic, reducing nuance. Reddit, +9. Reddit, +9. Medium, +9. Magnifying glass stilted left thought-provoking resonance. Internalized exploitation. Mickey internalizes guilt and subservience until rebellion becomes his act of self-love and liberation. His acceptance of happiness, it's okay to be happy, marks emotional catharsis grounded in human dignity. Westmount Magazine, +4. Reddit, +4. Alpha, +4. Multiplicity as metaphor. The coexistence of Mickey 17 and 18 questions monolithic identity. Each clone is subtly distinct, implying that identity is relational and situational, not fixed. Habel Mosmany, +15. Westmount Magazine, +15. Alpha, +15. Colonialist critique. The creeper's supposedly mindless form becomes emblematic of exploited populations. As Mickey represents replaceable human capital, the creepers embody displaced ecosystems and beings denied autonomy. Their reclamation through Mickey's alliance becomes moral redress. White heavy checkmark final evaluation. From a third-person narrative perspective, Mickey 17 is thematically ambitious, exploring identity, disposability, systemic exploitation, authoritarianism, and colonialism. Bong Joon-ho confront uncomfortable ideas with dark humor, dystopian whimsy, and moral provocation. While the film convincingly dramatizes key questions about identity, agency, and belonging, its sprawling thematic scope sometimes sacrifices depth for breadth. Some messages feel surface level, with heftier ideas introduced but not deeply interrogated. Yet when the film lands, Mickey's rebellion, his relationship with Nasha, his reclamation of self, it offers potent, emotionally resonant commentary on dignity and defiance. In the end, Mickey 17 leaves a lasting impression through its satirical critique of systems that dehumanize, and its assertion of the irreducible value of individuality and solidarity. Even if not every motif is fully explored, it invites sustained reflection long after credits roll. Here's an in-depth third-person analysis of visual effects and CGI in Mickey 17, examining how seamlessly they support the film's world and whether practical and digital effects cohere. Artist palette integration and overall visual design. The visual effects blend naturally into the film's environment, working seamlessly with practical sets, costumes, and cinematography to create a grounded yet gripping futuristic world. Reviewers call Mickey 17 visually spectacular and immersive, with CGI never feeling tacked on or overt. Reddit, +15. The Guardian, +15. Los Angeles Film Review, +15. Frame Store and DNEG, the primary VFX houses, collaborated closely with Bong Joon-ho, utilizing detailed storyboards and previs to ensure that VFX matched the director's specific frame-by-frame vision. Reddit, +4. Neg, +4. Definition, +4. Bug creature effects. The Creepers. The alien creepers exhibit an unusual blend of menace, humor, and pathos. VFX teams intentionally design behaviors inspired by kittens, lion cubs, and elephants to evoke empathy despite their alien appearance. Audiences reportedly responded to their curiosity and evolving emotional resonance. Frame store, +1, on, +1. According to VFX artists, tactile practical elements, like actors being lifted by SFX crew through snow tunnels, allowed the final CG animations to inherit realistic physicality and motion weight. Reddit, +6. Frame store, +6. Definition, +6. Snowflake environments, Nibelheim and ice caves. The icy alien planet Nibelheim was created using a hybrid of on-location reference, e.g. Iceland glaciers, practical sets, and advanced render techniques. Frame store captured light scattering and internal ice structure to achieve photorealism. Wikipedia, +2. Frame store, +2. On, +2. Practical snow fields made with salt and controlled lighting within large white screen stages enhance integration between actors and digital extensions. Reddit, counterclockwise arrows button dual Mickey effect, and cloning visuals. Multiple techniques, including machine learning-assisted face replacement, split screens, and classic body double compositing, were combined convincingly show Mickey 17 and 18 interacting. The goal was to avoid revealing obvious tricks, even in intimate scenes. Reddit, +11. Befores and afters, +11. Cinema blend, +11. Most viewers and critics noted the results as high quality, with shots rarely betraying digital fakery, aside from some critiques pointing out a few scenes felt awkward or avoided full two-face interactions. Fire death sequences and effect variety. Mickey's multiple lethal encounters, ranging from lava drops, radiation, trauma, and poison gas, are realized through a mix of practical stunt work and digital augmentation. VFX supplemented or replaced limbs, severe burn damage, or camera rigs, enhancing visual impact while retaining physical realism. Brain community and VFX reception. VFX artists, especially on Reddit, praise the creature animation, crowd simulation, and doubling technology. Comments like, "Creature and crowd work is outstanding," and recognition for seamless clone interactions underscore strong fan and industry respect. Reddit, some dissenting voices noted the creepers induce a visceral discomfort in viewers. One described rapid onset of itchiness and panic, highlighting how effective and unsettling the design can be. Reddit, white heavy checkmark strengths and weaknesses. Element strengths, weaknesses, / critiques. Creature design emotional, credible, richly animated. Some viewers found visual texture unsettling. Dual Mickey interaction, seamless compositing, and ML-assisted face swaps, occasional avoidance of full facial shots criticized. Cinema blend, +6. Befores and afters, +6. On, +6. Environments highly realistic ice and snow. Strong sense of physicality complexity may strain visual clarity in crowded scenes. Death sequences, smart blend of practical and digital. None widely reported obvious failures observed. Narrative integration, VFX served the story rather than dominated. Slight visual stutter in third act may distract in complex frames. Direct hit final evaluation. From a third-person story-informed lens, Mickey 17's visual effects and CGI work powerfully support immersion rather than distract. The creeper creatures function as genuine character elements, eliciting fear, empathy, and narrative beats. The ice planet and interior environments feel tactile and lived in. Death montages and clone interactions retain emotional core thanks to thoughtful blending of practical and digital effects. While not infallible, some twin Mickey scenes dare avoid full face-on shots, and a few visual textures unsettled certain viewers. The overwhelming consensus is that VFX in Mickey 17 enhance rather than dilute its thematic ambition and visual coherence. Let me know if you like a shot-by-shot breakdown of key sequences, like the crevasse rescue or cloning montage. Mickey 17, set design and locations analysis. Third-person perspective in-depth discussion. In Mickey 17, the set design and locations are instrumental in immersing viewers into its dystopian sci-fi world. From the sterile, oppressive interiors of the colony structures to the eerie, expansive exoplanetary environments, each setting is crafted not just as a backdrop, but as an integral narrative tool. Bong Joon-ho and his production team employ visual storytelling through design to subtly reinforce the themes of isolation, identity, control, and environmental decay. ####1. World building through design ****. The film's central location, the colony on the icy planet Nibelheim, is a masterclass in visual world building. The habitats, labs, corridors, and administrative zones are constructed with utilitarian, brutalist aesthetic. Sleek metallic surfaces, dim industrial lighting, and harsh color palettes, dominated by grays, blues, and sterile whites, effectively convey the cold, militarized nature of the environment. These interiors don't just suggest technological advancement. They evoke a lack of warmth and individuality, reinforcing Mickey's existential dilemma as a clone. Props and design details, such as the cryoregeneration pods, robotic maintenance systems, and invasive surveillance devices, are never overly flashy. They blend seamlessly into the setting, making the technology feel like a natural extension of the world. Everything feels lived in and consistent with the narrative logic, avoiding the trap of overly stylized or distracting sci-fi aesthetics. ###2. Contrast between interior and exterior spaces ****. Outside the colony, the planet's surface offers an entirely different tone. Sweeping glaciers, jagged rock formations, and blinding snowstorms engulf the characters in a visually hostile environment. The planet is desolate, but eerily beautiful, underscoring the colonists' struggle to survive and the ethical question of why they are even there. In several key scenes, the barren landscape mirrors Mickey's emotional state, alienated, endangered, and overwhelmed. The minimal use of practical sets combined with CGI augmentation allows the outdoor sequences to feel vast and immersive while still grounded in tactile realism. ###3. Symbolic set choices ****. Certain environments are symbolically charged. For instance, the clone storage room, a confined space lined with chambers housing inactive or discarded Mickeys, is chilling in its simplicity. Its sterile cleanliness belies the horror of disposable humanity. Similarly, the command center is always elevated, with glass walls overlooking lower levels, visually reinforcing hierarchy and the surveillance state. Bong Joon-ho, known for using vertical space metaphorically, as seen in Snowpiercer and Parasite, applies this again in Mickey 17. Higher levels represent power and authority, while the lower sections, maintenance tunnels, sleeping quarters, and recycling facilities, house the expendables, including Mickey. The set architecture quietly tells a story of class division and expendability. ###4. Real locations versus soundstage ****. The film blends real locations with large-scale soundstage builds and digital extensions. Certain exteriors may have been filmed in glacial terrains, Iceland possibly, providing a stark authenticity to the alien planet's surface. These real landscapes are digitally enhanced to appear more otherworldly, but retain enough of their natural textures to avoid artificiality. Interior scenes are predominantly constructed on sound stages with meticulous attention to modular design, suggesting that the colony is a prefabricated structure mass-produced for human expansionism. This adds to the world's believability while making visual commentary on industrial colonization. ###5. Visual cohesion with cinematography ****. The set design works hand in glove with Darius Kanji's cinematography. The lighting choices, harsh fluorescence in institutional spaces, soft ambient glows, and introspective moments bring out textures in the sets that deepen the emotional tone. Production design and camera movement often emphasize claustrophobia or surveillance, further anchoring the viewer in Mickey's perspective. ###conclusion. Immersion through detail. Overall, Mickey 17 excels in its set design and location choices. The world feels fully realized, not through bombast, but through meticulous detail and thematic coherence. Each space, from sterile labs to harsh wastelands, contributes to the narrative's emotional and philosophical weight. Rather than simply decorating the story, the settings are the story, making the film's universe both visually compelling and symbolically rich. Mickey 17 dialogue and script analysis. Third-person perspective in-depth discussion. The dialogue and script of Mickey 17 form the narrative backbone of the film, balancing cerebral sci-fi concepts with grounded emotional storytelling. written and directed by Bong Joon-ho, adapting Edward Ashton's novel Mickey 7. The screenplay walks a fine line between philosophical introspection, bureaucratic satire, and dark humor. As such, the dialogue is crafted to both illuminate complex ideas and make the characters resonate on a deeply human level. ####1. Voice of the protagonist. Existential humor and self-awareness ****. The character of Mickey, a so-called expendable who undergoes multiple deaths and regenerations, is imbued with a distinct voice that drives the film's tone. His dialogue is filled with dry wit, sarcasm, and moments of existential reflection. Through Mickey's inner monologues and conversations, the film explores themes of mortality, identity, and purpose without becoming too heavy-handed. For example, Mickey frequently undercuts the horror of a situation with gallows humor. Dying's not the hard part. It's coming back to a life that doesn't miss you. This line encapsulates both his emotional isolation and the philosophical conflict at the heart of the story. What it means to be a replaceable version of oneself. His sarcasm provides levity, but it also masks vulnerability. The script gives him room to grow emotionally, and this is reflected in how his speech evolves, from flippant and detached to more introspective and confrontational. ###2. Supporting characters. Functional and thematic voices ****. Other characters in Mickey 17 serve thematic functions and are written with distinct voices to reflect their place within the colony's rigid hierarchy. The administrator, for instance, speaks in cold, calculated language. "You are property, Mickey. You are a system, not a soul." This chilling assertion becomes one of the film's defining statements, sparking Mickey's internal rebellion. The clinical nature of the administrator's language reinforces the film's critique of dehumanization in bureaucratic systems. Meanwhile, characters like Nasha, Mickey's partner, and Berto, his friend, serve as emotional anchors. Their dialogue is more intimate, offering warmth and a sense of personal stakes. Nasha's lines, in particular, are layered with longing and conflict. "I loved you. Not the last version. Not the next. Just you." This line adds emotional weight and highlights the film's meditation on continuity of identity. ###3. World building through language ****. The script avoids heavy exposition by embedding world-building details into natural dialogue. Rather than over-explaining the cloning process or colony politics, it uses conversations, arguments, and even throwaway lines to reveal information organically. Terms like expendable resleeving or carbon offset clearance are introduced in context, allowing the viewer to piece together their meaning without being spoon-fed. This technique keeps the dialogue brisk and believable while deepening immersion. ###4. Themes reflected in dialogue ****. The dialogue in Mickey 17 often doubles as philosophical reflection. Characters question concepts like personhood, utility, and consciousness in lines that feel contemplative but not overly academic. "If every version of me dies a little differently, which death counts?" This line becomes a pivotal question, echoing throughout the film and inviting viewers to consider not just what defines a person, but what defines a life. Additionally, Bong uses silence and subtext just as powerfully. Key moments between characters, particularly when Mickey confronts another version of himself, are marked by restrained dialogue, short, loaded exchanges that speak volumes. ###5. Tonal control. Humor versus gravity ****. One of the script's most impressive feats is its tonal balance. Bong's screenplay injects just enough humor to keep the story engaging without undermining its serious undertones. Mickey's quips often arrive in scenes of tension, providing a moment of release. However, they never feel out of place because they reflect his personality, jaded, clever, and weary of his role. This juxtaposition between a dying man cracking jokes and a system that sees him as disposable creates a compelling irony. The wit is sharp, but always tethered to character psychology and thematic resonance. ###6. Standout lines ****. Several lines rise above mere plot advancement to become emblematic of the film's tone and message. ***. I'm not the first Mickey to want more. I might just be the first to fight for it. ***. They think pain resets with death. it doesn't. Asterisk, there's no such thing as a perfect copy. Something always gets lost. Each of these is layered with emotional and philosophical significance, encapsulating the internal conflict Mickey faces, while pushing the narrative forward. #### conclusion. A smart, emotional, and resonant script. The dialogue and script of Mickey 17 are rich with depth, wit, and humanity. Bong Joon-ho successfully adapts complex source material into a screenplay that balances science fiction spectacle with intimate character study. The language feels lived in and purposeful, often philosophical without sacrificing clarity or emotional engagement. Ultimately, the film's script doesn't just entertain. It invites reflection, challenges assumptions about identity and consciousness, and leaves the audience with haunting, memorable lines that echo long after credits roll. Mickey 17 Genre Execution Analysis. Third-person perspective in-depth discussion. Mickey 17 exists at the intersection of science fiction, psychological drama, dark comedy, and existential thriller. Helmed by visionary director Bong Joon-ho, the film doesn't simply operate within genre boundaries. It questions, bends, and often subverts them to deliver a cerebral, emotionally resonant experience. Rather than offering a straightforward, action-packed sci-fi adventure, Mickey 17 challenges audience expectations, prioritizing introspection and satire over spectacle. This nuanced approach makes its genre execution both unconventional and thought-provoking. ####1. Sci-fi genre. Reinvention over familiarity ****. On the surface, Mickey 17 may seem to follow classic science fiction tropes. Interplanetary colonization, cloning, authoritarian systems, and technological overreach. However, the film defies typical sci-fi genre conventions by shifting its focus away from external conflict, e.g., alien threats or large-scale space battles, and toward internal, philosophical dilemmas. While most genre entries glorify innovation and progress, Mickey 17 uses its futuristic setting to explore dehumanization, personal identity, and the ethics of expendability. The concept of a clone who dies repeatedly for the benefit of society isn't just a gimmick. It becomes a lens to examine what it means to be irreplaceably human. In doing so, the film joins a select league of cerebral sci-fi like Moon, Blade Runner 2049, or Ex Machina, but distinguishes itself with its uniquely satirical tone and Korean-influenced social commentary. ####2. Genre subversion. Defying expectations ****. Rather than leaning into action or visual bombast, the film often subverts what viewers expect from science fiction. The protagonist isn't a hero in the traditional sense. Mickey is not on a mission to save humanity or defeat a villain. His conflict is personal, internal, and existential. Can he assert his identity in a world that sees him as a product? Technology is not awe-inspiring, but oppressive. The cloning device, rather than being a miraculous invention, is treated with bureaucratic coldness, like a printer churning out more copies. This treatment strips technology of its glamour and reframes it as a symbol of systemic devaluation. The colony isn't a beacon of human achievement. It's a metaphor for modern-day exploitation. The setting critiques capitalism and technocracy under the guise of sci-fi exploration. This inversion of genre expectations enhances the film's originality and ensures it delivers fresh ideas rather than recycled genre formulas. ####3. Balancing tone, drama, suspense, humor, and satire ****. Mickey 17 maintains an impressive tonal balance, perhaps one of Bong Joon-ho's signature strengths. Each genre element is blended deliberately to complement the others. Drama, the emotional arc of Mickey, coming to terms with his repeated deaths and his perceived disposability, anchors the story in human emotion. His relationships, particularly with Nasha and other clones, inject the film with pathos and emotional stakes. Suspense, the tension doesn't derive from chases or explosions, but from identity conflicts, moral choices, and the psychological game between Mickey and the system. Key scenes, such as the encounter between two versions of Mickey, brim with quiet intensity and philosophical weight. Humor, the film employs dry, often dark humor to undercut the bleakness of the subject matter. Mickey's sarcastic asides and the absurdity of bureaucratic responses to death, e.g., file a regeneration request, bring levity to a dystopian world. This humor doesn't dilute the message, it sharpens it. Asterisk satire asterisk Mickey 17 critiques systemic inhumanity with biting wit. It mocks corporate indifference, militarized science, and the commodification of life, much in the way Snowpiercer satirized class inequality or Parasite attacked capitalist greed. Bong maintains this tonal juggling act with remarkable control, ensuring that none of the elements overpower the others. The result is a film that is emotionally impactful, intellectually stimulating, and occasionally funny, all while maintaining genre credibility. ###4. Fresh ideas versus familiar elements asterisk asterisk. While some elements draw from familiar sci-fi blueprints, cloning, asterisk the six-day asterisk, colonization ethics, asterisk interstellar asterisk the Martian, identity crisis, asterisk total recall asterisk, the way Mickey 17 recontextualizes them is entirely fresh. The twist lies in perspective. Instead of focusing on the groundbreaking science, the film zeroes in on what it costs the individual. Rather than delivering action set pieces or epic space opera narratives, the film favors asterisk intimate character moments over large-scale spectacle, asterisk moral ambiguity over black and white heroes, asterisk systemic critique over rebellion fantasy. This makes Mickey 17 a breath of fresh air in a genre often dominated by either high-budget effects or formulaic plots. ###5. Pacing and structure within the genre asterisk asterisk. Pacing in genre films is often dictated by set pieces and escalating external stakes. Mickey 17, by contrast, adopts a more contemplative rhythm. The film is structured around Mickey's internal transformation and his shifting relationships with those around him, including alternate versions of himself. This slower pacing might challenge mainstream sci-fi audiences, but ultimately rewards patient viewers with deeper philosophical and emotional payoffs. ###conclusion. A genre film that thinks beyond genre. In conclusion, Mickey 17 does not merely fulfill the expectations of a sci-fi thriller. It transcends them. Through genre subversion, tonal innovation, and narrative focus on identity and systemic critique, the film redefines what a science fiction film can be. It introduces fresh ideas while subtly reshaping familiar ones, offering a complex, layered experience that resists easy categorization. Rather than delivering a conventional genre film, Bong Joon-ho created a thought experiment wrapped in emotional drama, wrapped in sci-fi satire. Mickey 17 ultimately proves that genre boundaries are not limits, they're opportunities for reinvention. Mickey 17, social and cultural commentary. Third-person perspective in death discussion. Mickey 17, under the direction and screenplay of Bong Joon-ho, is far more than a cerebral science fiction tale. Beneath its genre trappings lies a sharp, layered critique of contemporary social, cultural, and political systems. The film skillfully uses its speculative premise, revolving around clone labor and interstellar colonization, to comment on real-world issues such as exploitation, capitalist dehumanization, systemic inequality, environmental disregard, and the philosophy of identity. What makes these commentaries especially compelling is how organically they are embedded in the narrative, rather than coming across as didactic or heavy-handed. The film weaves its social critique seamlessly into the world-building, character arcs, and visual language. ###1. Capitalism and the commodification of life asterisk asterisk. At its core, Mickey 17 critiques the logic of capitalism taken to its most dystopian extreme, where even human beings are reduced to disposable assets. Mickey, as an expendable, is literally designed to die and be replaced repeatedly, mirroring how modern labor systems often treat workers as interchangeable cogs of a machine. One of the film's most telling lines, asterisk asterisk, you are a system, not a soul, asterisk asterisk, speaks volumes about this commodification. The idea that a human being can be reduced to a function or product is not just a sci-fi concept. It's a metaphor for real-world labor dynamics in late-stage capitalism, where efficiency often overrides empathy. The colony's bureaucratic structure, where lives are assigned value based on productivity and utility, echoes real-world corporate hierarchies. The film suggests that when a system prioritizes function over humanity, even individuality and identity become expendable. ###2. Cloning as a metaphor for worker replaceability ***. The cloning technology in Mickey 17, while fantastical, is a clear allegory for the modern gig economy and the culture of disposable labor. Mickey is treated not as a person, but as a resource that could be resleeved and reused. This dehumanization parallels how workers in many contemporary industries are treated as replaceable and stripped of individuality, especially under exploitive systems where burnout, turnover, and undercompensation are routine. By dramatizing this through a character who confronts his own replacements, the film delves into deeper questions. What makes us unique? Are we valued for who we are or what we do? In this way, Mickey 17 turns sci-fi cloning into a cultural critique of identity, autonomy, and worth in modern economies. #3. Colonialism and resource extraction ***. The setting of the film, an icy, unforgiving planet being colonized for human survival, serves as a metaphor for imperialist exploitation and environmental recklessness. The colonists don't ask whether they should colonize Nibelheim. They assume entitlement over it, regardless of cost. This mirrors historical and present-day realities where dominant powers exploit foreign lands, populations, or ecosystems without ethical consideration. There is an implicit critique of techno-imperialism, the belief that technological superiority grants moral justification for domination. The colonists, driven by survival, adopt an ends justify the means attitude, regardless of the human and environmental toll. Bong Joon-ho's commentary is clear. Humanity's survival narrative often masks darker agendas of conquest and control. #4. Identity, individualism, and the self ***. One of the film's most powerful commentaries lies in its exploration of identity fragmentation in the digital and post-human age. When Mickey meets another version of himself, the film raises a deeply contemporary issue. Can identity be replicated, shared, or owned? In an era increasingly shaped by digital avatars, social media profiles, AI replicas, and transhumanist discourse, Mickey 17's question, which version of me deserves to live, feels strikingly relevant. The film interrogates how modern society views the self. Is it a soul, a pattern, a performance, or a product? This is not merely philosophical musing. It's cultural commentary on the blurred lines between personhood and data, authenticity and replication, especially in a world obsessed with branding and virtual presence. #5. Surveillance and control ***. The colony's governance system is a model of authoritarian oversight. Through constant monitoring, performance metrics, and suppression dissent, the film critiques the surveillance state and the erosion of privacy, a concern increasingly prominent in today's hyperconnected, algorithmic world. The film's depiction of leadership, detached, technocratic, and manipulative, suggests that those in power are often less concerned with collective well-being and more invested in preserving hierarchical order. This echoes current anxieties about government overreach, corporate data collection, and the growing disconnect between ruling institutions and the people they govern. #6. Emotional and relational alienation ***. Beyond its systemic critiques, Mickey 17 also makes a cultural statement about emotional disconnection in a technologically advanced world. Mickey's relationships suffer not because of distance or conflict, but because of ontological uncertainty. How do you love someone if they're not the same every time? This reflects a broader anxiety about the impermanence of relationships and the difficulty of connection in a society where identity is fluid and increasingly mediated through technology. The film critiques how modernization often sacrifices emotional authenticity for mechanical consistency. #7. Subtlety and integration of themes ***. What elevates Mickey 17 as commentary is how naturally these themes are woven into the narrative fabric. Bong Joon-ho avoids preaching, instead embedding social critique in character choices, visual metaphors, dialogue, and pacing. The commentary doesn't halt the story. It is the story. Each plot development is both narratively motivated and symbolically rich, inviting deeper interpretation without demanding it. #conclusion. A mirror to modernity through sci-fi. In sum, Mickey 17 is a socially and culturally conscious film that leverages its speculative premise to reflect urgent contemporary issues. It addresses capitalism, identity, colonization, surveillance, and emotional disconnection with nuance, intelligence, and restraint. Rather than offering easy answers, the film provokes questions, forcing viewers to examine their own world through the lens of clones searching for meaning in a system that refuses to see him as more than a number. By doing so, Mickey 17 proves once again that science fiction is not just escapism. It is one of cinema's most powerful tools for confronting the truths of our time. Mickey 17 Audience Engagement Analysis. Third-person perspective in-depth discussion. Mickey 17 engages its audience on multiple levels, blending intellectual stimulation with emotional resonance. Bong Joon-ho's distinctive approach to storytelling, where layered themes coexist with personal character arcs, ensures that the film appeals not only to fans of cerebral science fiction, but also to viewers seeking human drama, dark humor, and moral complexity. The film doesn't aim for mass-market sentimentality or action-driven thrills. Instead, it captures attention through provocative questions, emotionally charged situations, and unique tone. This layered engagement results in a film that lingers in the viewer's mind, inviting both deep reflection and repeat viewings. #1. Emotional core, identity, loneliness, and the right to exist ***. The heart of Mickey 17 lies in his protagonist's emotional struggle to be seen as more than a copy, more than a tool. His repeated deaths and societal indifference to his existence create a profound sense of existential loneliness. This emotional weight is not delivered through melodrama, but through restrained, subtle storytelling. For many viewers, this theme hits close to home in an era where people often feel replaceable or invisible within modern systems, be it corporate, political, or technological. Moments of quiet despair, such as Mickey observing a newer version of himself being accepted in his place, resonate deeply. The pain of being overlooked, forgotten, or considered obsolete strikes an emotional chord. These scenes evoke empathy, not because of overt tragedy, but because they reflect universally human fears: the loss of identity, the search for meaning, and the yearning for connection. #2. Provoking shock and intrigue, twists and psychological tension, ***. The film keeps viewers on edge through its use of psychological tension, rather than traditional suspense. When Mickey encounters other versions of himself, the emotional shock isn't from horror, but from existential disorientation. The viewer is invited to ask, ***, what would I do in his place? ***, which version of me would I want others to accept? ***, if I could be replaced, am I still me? These questions trigger cognitive dissonance, encouraging not just emotional engagement, but active philosophical thought. Such moments don't just shock, they unsettle in a lasting way. #3. Humor as a gateway to connection, ***. One of the film's most effective tools for audience engagement is its dry, existential humor. Mickey's sarcastic commentary on death, bureaucracy, and the absurdity of his role provides both relief and relatability. These moments would cut through the bleakness and foster a bond between the viewer and the protagonist. His humor doesn't distance him from the seriousness of his situation. It humanizes him. For example, when Mickey jokes about his frequent deaths as if he's punching a time card, audiences laugh. But it's a laughter tinged with discomfort and sympathy. These moments create emotional depth, reminding the audience that Mickey isn't just a sci-fi concept. He's a person struggling to remain whole. #4. Philosophical themes that spark discussion, ***. Mickey 17 is not a one-and-done film. Its layered themes and ambiguous morality invite post-viewing conversation and interpretation. It inspires audiences to reflect on * the ethics of cloning and replaceability, * the nature of consciousness and continuity of the self, * the role of systems in defining human worth, * the boundaries between survival and exploitation. These questions, embedded within the narrative, resonate long after the credits roll. In this way, Mickey 17 aligns more with films like Arrival, Annihilation, or Blade Runner 2049, which prioritize philosophical depth and emotional ambiguity over straightforward resolution. #5. Strong moments that leave an impression, ***. Certain scenes in Mickey 17 stand out as emotional or thematic high points. A clone room sequence, where Mickey sees rows of discarded versions of himself, evokes a sense of horror and tragedy not through gore, but through implication. It's a quiet, devastating visual. A confrontation between Mickey and another Mickey, where each claims to be the real one, is both tense and heartbreaking, forcing audiences to pick sides in a conflict where neither is wrong. Nasha's confession of love for only this version of Mickey adds romantic vulnerability, making the stakes more than survival. It's about emotional legacy. These moments elicit not just intellectual appreciation, but powerful emotional response that elevates a film from concept-driven sci-fi to a deeply human experience. #6. A film that rewards repeat viewings ***. Mickey 17 is dense with thematic subtext, visual metaphors, and subtle character beats. As such, it rewards multiple viewings. On first watch, audiences may focus on the mystery and world building. On subsequent viewings, they can appreciate the symbolic use of color, framing vertical space, echoing Bong's use of spatial hierarchy in Parasite, and the intricate layering of dialogue. Viewers often come away with new insights each time, whether about Mickey's psychological arc, the nature of systemic oppression, or how minor characters reflect different philosophical stances. This makes Mickey 17 a film that grows in value over time. #7. Niche appeal with cult potential ***. While the film's cerebral nature and lack of conventional action may alienate some mainstream audiences seeking more traditional sci-fi thrills, Mickey 17 has the makings of a cult favorite. It appeals strongly to viewers who appreciate slow-burn storytelling, moral ambiguity, and films that trust the audience to think and feel deeply. #Conclusion. Thoughtful, emotional, and lasting impact. In conclusion, Mickey 17 offers a rich and multifaceted experience that engages audiences both emotionally and intellectually. Through its layered writing, resonant themes, and Bong Joon-ho's signature tonal balance, the film elicits laughter, empathy, shock, and introspection in equal measure. It may not rely on spectacle or sentimental manipulation, but it connects with viewers on a profound level, asking questions that linger, sparking debates that endure, and crafting moments that etch themselves into memory. It is, ultimately, a film not just to be watched, but be felt, pondered, and remembered. Mickey 17, Comparisons to Similar Films. Third-person perspective in-depth discussion. Mickey 17 stands as a distinctive entry in the science fiction genre, not just for its cerebral themes or Bong Joon-ho's signature storytelling, but for the way it both echoes and diverges from films with similar premises. It shares DNA with other thought-provoking sci-fi films and, at times, draws upon genre traditions and established visual language. However, it never settles into formula. Instead, Bong fuses existential tension, dark humor, and social allegory to carve out a unique identity. In doing so, Mickey 17 invites comparisons to past sci-fi films, to Bong's own previous works, and to philosophical cinema as a whole, while ultimately establishing its own ground. #1. Within the science fiction genre ***. Comparison Moon 2009 Dir Duncan Jones ***. Perhaps the most immediate and obvious parallel is with Moon, another minimalist sci-fi drama about a man discovering he's one of many clones. Both films explore themes of identity, autonomy, and expendability. Where Moon is quiet, intimate, and deeply melancholic, Mickey 17 expands a premise into a broader world, with more dynamic tonal shifts, including satire and socio-political commentary. Key difference ***. Mickey 17 leans more heavily into satire and social critique, using its concept to explore systemic power structures, while Moon stays more introspective and isolated. Bong's version is less about solitude and more about existence within a dehumanizing system. Comparison. Blade Runner 2049, 2017, Dir Denis Villeneuve, ***. Like Blade Runner 2049, Mickey 17 examines what it means to be human in a world that treats artificial or clone beings as second class. Both protagonists seek meaning and uniqueness in lives considered manufactured. Visually, both films rely on cold, precise production design and philosophical dialogue. Key difference ***. While Blade Runner 2049 is operatic, brooding, and visually maximalist, Mickey 17 is more grounded in black comedy and dark irony. Bong subverts the genre's grandiosity by using mundane bureaucracy and everyday indifference to highlight systemic cruelty. This tonal shift makes Mickey 17 feel less mythic, but more satirically sharp. Comparison: Ex Machina, 2015, and Gattaca, 1997, ****. Both of these films, like Mickey 17, question the ethics of human enhancement, artificial identity, and systemic control. In Ex Machina, the AI's quest for liberation mirrors Mickey's desire to define his own worth. Gattaca's genetic caste system parallels the Expendables' place in the social order of the colony. Key difference ***. Mickey 17 introduces levity and absurdity into these existential questions, making it more accessible without diluting the complexity. Bong injects human warmth and wit into a subject matter that, in other films, often leans cold or clinical. #2. Comparisons within Bong Joon-ho's filmography ***. Comparison: Snowpiercer, 2013, ***. Both films depict closed, oppressive systems where class, utility, and survival define one's value. Snowpiercer uses a train as a metaphor for social hierarchy. Mickey 17 uses a colony on a frozen planet, layered with authoritarian structures and technological dependency. Themes of exploitation, rebellion, and systemic cruelty are present in both. Key difference ***. While Snowpiercer is a kinetic, action-driven allegory with broader strokes, Mickey 17 is subtler, more introspective, and character-centered. It forgoes overt revolution in favor of philosophical resistance, a quieter but equally potent form of rebellion. Comparison: Parasite, 2019, ***. Though vastly different in setting, Parasite and Mickey 17 are spiritual siblings in Bong's exploration of inequality and disposability. Both protagonists live lives defined by invisibility, whether in a literal basement or a metaphorical death loop. Key difference ***. Parasite is a social thriller with escalating tension and grounded realism. Mickey 17 is speculative and reflective. However, both share Bong's hallmark tonal hybridity, blending humor, horror, and drama to reflect uncomfortable truths about society. #3. Originality versus formula ***. Does Mickey 17 follow a formula ***, only to subvert it? While it begins with a familiar setup, a lone worker in a futuristic setting questioning his identity, it quickly detours into territory marked by Bong's unique voice. The film rejects traditional action beats in favor of internal conflict. Uses cloning not for spectacle, but for existential provocation. Avoids heroic arcs, offering instead a quiet assertion of humanity through resistance and self-worth. What does it offer that's new? A satirical take on identity, death, and labor that uses absurdity to sharpen its message. A dual performance by Robert Pattinson that blurs the line between self and other with emotional depth and narrative tension. A use of genre not for escapism, but for social analysis, without sacrificing entertainment. #4. Legacy and cult potential ***. In a landscape saturated with big-budget sci-fi that often leans on spectacle, Dune ***, The Creator, Star Wars spin-offs, Mickey 17 feels like a return to the intimate, idea-driven roots of speculative cinema. It's not a franchise builder or a blockbuster crowd pleaser, but a cult classic in the making, akin to Children of Men or Under the Skin in its ability to inspire discussion, analysis, and admiration with each viewing. #conclusion. Standing apart while standing among. Mickey 17 stands shoulder to shoulder with some of the most intelligent science fiction films of the 21st century. It borrows elements from Moon, Blade Runner 2049, and Ex Machina, but reshapes them with Bong Joon-ho's signature fusion of satire, empathy, and social critique. Within his own filmography, it may be his most restrained yet conceptually ambitious work, offering quiet revolution over chaos, reflection over reaction. Rather than following a formula, Mickey 17 challenges a genre to do better, to think deeper, laugh darker, and feel more human, even in the cold vacuum of space. Mickey 17, Symbolism and Metaphors. Third-person perspective in death discussion. Mickey 17, directed by Bong Joon-ho, is a film rich in subtext and layered with symbolic meaning. Like much of Bong's prior work, Parasite, Snowpiercer, Okja, the film thrives on metaphor. Beneath its sci-fi surface lies a tapestry of recurring visual motifs, thematic echoes, and subtle cues that deepen its narrative. These symbols are not merely decorative. They actively shape the emotional and philosophical journey of the protagonist and amplify the film's core concerns about identity, disposability, power, and the search for meaning in a mechanized world. ####1. The clone as a metaphor for disposable labor ****. At the heart of the film is a figure, the expendable Mickey, who is quite literally recycled labor. His repeated deaths and regeneration serve as a blunt metaphor for how systems exploit workers until they break, only to replace them with another equally expendable body. Each new iteration of Mickey becomes a visual metaphor for burnout and exhaustion in modern work culture, the loss of identity in mass production and corporate hierarchies, the commodification of life under late-stage capitalism. This metaphor is reinforced by how others treat Mickey. Administrators refer to him as an asset, not a person. He is cataloged, debriefed, repaired. Through this dehumanization, the film forces viewers to consider how contemporary systems prioritize productivity over personhood. ###2. The cryo-regeneration pods. Death and rebirth as routine ****. The regeneration chamber, a cold, sterile pod where Mickey is re-sleeved, becomes a potent symbol of industrialized resurrection. It takes what should be a miraculous event, returning from death, and strips it of all mystique or dignity. This pod, ***, represents a mechanization of the soul, where rebirth is no longer spiritual but corporate. ** acts as a metaphor for reset culture, where emotional or psychological damage is expected to disappear with a new version, mirroring how systems expect individuals to bounce back without processing trauma. * visually resembles a printer or factory mold, emphasizing the assembly line nature of identity in the colony. Each time Mickey dies and awakens, the same sterile chamber greets him, reinforcing his status as product rather than person. The repetition of this imagery underlines a central theme. A life on repeat is not a life at all. ###3. Duality and mirrors. Facing the self ****. A key symbolic motif throughout the film is a doppelganger. Two versions of Mickey, each claiming authenticity. This duality reflects classic questions about which version of the self is real. Is identity defined by memory, continuity, or others' recognition? Bong uses mirrors, reflective surfaces, and symmetrical framing to visually explore this idea. Shots where Mickey sees himself or confront another Mickey are often framed in perfect symmetry, reinforcing the discomfort of sameness and the threat of being interchangeable. The film also uses lighting to distinguish internal versus external identity. Harsh white light symbolizes systemic judgment, cold, all-seeing, impersonal. Dim, naturalistic light appears in personal spaces, signaling individual emotion and moral reflection. This duality speaks to a broader metaphor, the clash between one's public function, as determined by a system, and private essence, as felt from within. ###4. Verticality as symbol of hierarchy and control ****. Just as Bong Joon-ho used vertical space metaphorically in Parasite, upstairs equals power, basement equals invisibility, Mickey 17 employs spatial symbolism to highlight class and control. Command centers and administrative zones are located above, with transparent walls, indicating oversight, surveillance, and untouchable authority. Living quarters, maintenance areas, and clone storage are below ground, symbolizing invisibility, subjugation, and disposability. This spatial design becomes a visual metaphor for the film's socio-political critique. Upward equals power, preservation, control. Downward equals labor, suffering, anonymity. Mickey's physical movement through these levels mirrors his psychological journey, rising from passivity to resistance. ###5. Ice and cold as emotional and environmental symbolism ****. Set on the frigid and hospitable planet Nibelheim, the icy environment serves multiple symbolic functions. Asterisk, it reflects the emotional sterility of the colony and its institutional structure. Asterisk, it symbolizes death's omnipresence. Frozen landscapes as a mirror to Mickey's repeating demise. Asterisk, it critiques human overreach, colonizing a world unsuited for life, mirroring how modern society often prioritizes expansion over sustainability. In key moments, the planet's harsh climate contrasts with the rare warmth of human connection. When Mickey and Nasha share private scenes, the lighting softens and the environmental hostility fades into the background, suggesting that human empathy is the only warmth left in a cold world. ####6. Recurring motif. Numbers and dehumanization ***. Mickey is assigned a number, 17, which becomes a recurring motif and symbol of dehumanization. He is no longer just Mickey, but a version number, part of a continuum. This echoes the practice of serializing human labor, reducing identity to function and iteration. The erasure of individual uniqueness in favor of operational efficiency. As the film progresses, the presence of multiple Mickeys reinforces the horror of this numerical system. Characters referring to Mickey 17 rather than simply Mickey underscore the point. The individual is lost in the system's ledger. This is visually reinforced by asterisk tags, ID chips, digital logs, reminders that Mickey is tracked and recorded more as data than as a living being. ###7. Visual metaphors of resistance and selfhood ***. Several symbolic images mark Mickey's arc of awakening. Burned out clones or malformed versions hint at the psychic toll of being almost human. Hands touching glass, particularly between Mickey and another version, signify the desire to connect despite barriers of body, identity, or system. The act of breaking a protocol, even in minor ways, e.g., refusing an order, altering a daily routine, becomes a metaphor for reclaiming autonomy. These moments are small but powerful. They symbolize Mickey's journey from being a cog in the system to an individual asserting moral agency. ###conclusion. A film of metaphor precision and emotional depth. Mickey 17 is more than a science fiction narrative. It is a film of symbols, recurring motifs, and layered metaphors that enrich its storytelling. From visual dualities and spatial hierarchies to the sterile repetition of death and rebirth, Bong Joon-ho crafts a cinematic language that speaks volumes without always needing words. Every symbol, be it the icy planet, the regeneration pod, or the number 17, adds thematic texture, reinforcing the film's exploration of identity, humanity, and resistance in a system that views life as data. These deeper layers not only reward close viewing, but also elevate Mickey 17 from a clever sci-fi concept to a profound, multi-layered meditation on the modern condition. Mickey 17, franchise or historical context. Third-person perspective in depth discussion. Mickey 17 exists not within a traditional historical framework, but as a sci-fi adaptation and potential franchise launcher, rooted in a literary source with rich thematic potential. Directed by Bong Joon-ho and adapted from Edward Ashton's novel Mickey 7, the film introduces audiences to a futuristic, existentially charged world of human cloning, space colonization, and identity crises. While Mickey 17 is not technically part of an established cinematic franchise, at least not yet, it holds significant franchise potential and fits within a broader historical context of science fiction cinema that interrogates the ethics of technology, labor, and the self. ###1. Adaptation from source material. Continuity and expansion ****. Mickey 17 adapts the Mickey 7 novel, but diverges in tone, narrative focus, and scope. Bong Joon-ho reinterprets Ashton's dry, darkly comic prose through his own lens, retaining the concept of disposable clone, but transforming the story into a more thematically dense, emotionally resonant work. The film lays groundwork for future installments by establishing a complex universe of clone ethics, hierarchical systems, and planetary colonization. Introducing unresolved character arcs and moral dilemmas that suggest further exploration. Leaving open the possibility of other expendables, other colonies, or future rebellions, effectively crafting a blueprint for an extended universe. In this way, the film acts as a first chapter rather than a self-contained story, akin to how Dune, Part 1 of the Hunger Games, initiated broader narratives rooted in literature. #2. Franchise potential. Foundations for a sci-fi series ***. While Mickey 17 is currently a standalone film, its structure and world building suggest strong franchise aspirations. Elements that support this include world expansion ***, the detailed depiction of the colony, planetary conditions, and systemic protocols hint at a broader universe beyond Mickey's story. Mythology of the Expendables ***, the moral and psychological implications of cloning could be explored through different perspectives in sequels, other Expendables, rebels, or colonists. Ambiguous endings ***, without revealing spoilers. The film leaves certain threads open, particularly regarding the fate of multiple Mickeys, the authority system, and the ethical trajectory of the colony. If expanded, the franchise could evolve into a sci-fi anthology or serialized narrative akin to Black Mirror, Blade Runner, or The Expanse, tackling ethical questions across varied scenarios. #3. Historical context. Place in sci-fi cinema tradition ***. Though not a historical film in subject matter, Mickey 17 sits within a significant lineage of philosophical science fiction cinema. It echoes and reinterprets elements from earlier works, including Blade Runner, 1982/2049 questions of identity, humanity, and synthetic life echoes strongly in Mickey's existential journey. Like Replicants, Expendables blur the line between product and person. Moon, 2009. The film closely mirrors Moon's themes of loneliness, clone ethics, and labor exploitation, though Bong's version is more layered in visual metaphor and world building. Gattaca, 1997 themes of genetic determinism and systemic control inform the moral universe of Mickey 17, especially in how characters are evaluated by usefulness, not individuality. Bong Joon-ho's own filmography ***, particularly Snowpiercer and Okja, where class hierarchies, moral ambiguity, and rebellion against technocratic systems are central. Mickey 17 continues Bong's tradition of genre filmmaking used for social critique. In this context, Mickey 17 is a contemporary continuation of socio-philosophical science fiction. Films that not only imagine futures, but interrogate the values we carry into them. #4. Meta-historical context. A film about the future, rooted in the present ***. Beyond genre tradition, the film functions as a metaphorical reflection of 21st century concerns. Labor rights and automation ***, in a world increasingly dominated by AI and gig economies. Mickey's existence as an expendable labor becomes a chilling commentary on the future of work. Climate migration and resource scarcity ***, the colonization of Nibelheim, recalls present-day discussions around Earth's ecological crisis and the corporate push to mine or inhabit other planets. Digital reproduction of the self *** in the age of data profiles and digital avatars. Mickey's iterative identity questions what it means to be original in a world of replication. Thus, while not historical in the traditional sense, Mickey 17 is historically resonant, capturing the anxieties and contradictions of its time through speculative storytelling. #conclusion. A new beginning with roots in genre history. Mickey 17 does not build upon an existing franchise yet, but it sets the stage for one with bold ambition and thoughtful design. It contributes meaningfully to the science fiction canon by offering fresh metaphors, emotional depth, and societal critique. As both a literary adaptation and a spiritual successor to classics like Moon, Blade Runner, and Gattaca, the film positions itself at a unique crossroads between originality and homage, between standalone vision and serialized potential. If expanded, the Mickey universe could become a major force in 21st century science fiction, bridging intelligent genre storytelling with urgent cultural commentary, much like Bong Joon-ho's larger body of work already has. Mickey 17 budget and box office analysis. Third-person perspective in-depth discussion. Money bag production budget versus production quality. Budget. The film had a reported $118 million production budget. Axios, +15. Wikipedia, +15. The wrap, plus 15. Marketing. An additional $80 million was spent on marketing and distribution. Hindustan Times, plus 1. Fandom Wire, plus 1. Quality. Visually and technically, Mickey 17 matches its price tag. With impressive VFX, expansive sets, creature design, and dual performances by Robert Pattinson, the production delivers on scale and craftsmanship, consistent with a top-tier sci-fi auteur project. Checkered flag box office performance. Theatrical gross. Worldwide total gross landed at $131.8 million, $46 million in North America, $85.8 million internationally. Coming soon, plus 15. Wikipedia, plus 15. Decider, plus 15. Break-even threshold. Given a high combined cost, production plus marketing is almost equal to $198 million, the film needed $275 million to $300 million at the box office to break even. Fandom Wire, plus 13. Wikipedia, plus 13. Variety Australia, plus 13. Theaters retain roughly half of ticket revenues, making profitability even more distant. Projected loss. Estimates suggest a film loss between $75 to $80 million, with some projections as high as $100 million deficit. Wikipedia, plus 1. Hindustan Times, plus 1. Chart decreasing opening weekend and trajectory. U.S. opening weekend. Debuted at $19.1 million from 800 theaters, topping the domestic charts but well short of sustainable levels. Hindustan Times, plus 8. Variety Australia, plus 8. The Wrap, plus 8. South Korea. Strong domestic reception. $9 million opening weekend. Warner Brothers' highest post-pandemic debut in Korea. Over 2 million admissions within 10 days. Decline. Steep drop in subsequent weeks. Second weekend fell 61%, with diminishing returns, leading to early drop-off from top 10 charts. Wikipedia. Megaphone marketing and audience reception effects. Mixed reception. Critics were generally positive, with 79% on Rotten Tomatoes and CinemaScore B. Korea Jungang Daily, plus 13. Wikipedia, plus 13. The Wrap, plus 13. Audience scores, post-track 4/5, indicated moderate enthusiasm. Wikipedia. Marketing shortcomings. Analysts cite poor marketing strategy, long delays between trailers, absence from conventions like Comic-Con, and unclear positioning left mainstream audiences unengaged. Niche appeal. The film's high concept, satirical tone, and non-franchise appeal made it harder to attract mass audiences. Despite Bong's name and Robert Pattinson's performance, it lacked broad pull. Los 40, plus 10. Slash Film, plus 10. Decider, plus 10. Direct Hit Summary Comparison Table. Metric Outcome. Budget Production, $118 million. Budget Marketing, $80 million. Total Cost, $198 million. Box Office Gross $132 million. Global. Break-even Target $275 million. $300 million. Financial Result $75. $100 million loss estimated. Critical Reception 79% RT critics. B CinemaScore. Audience Impact mixed. Limited word-of-mouth momentum. Domestic opening $19 million. Number 1 debut, but short-lived stay at top. International opening strong in South Korea. Weaker in major markets. White heavy checkmark final verdict. From a production value standpoint, Mickey 17 delivers top-tier sci-fi spectacle, reflecting its substantial budget in creature design, visual effects, world building, and performances. From a financial standpoint, however, it underperformed significantly. Despite a solid opening and critical goodwill, its high costs, combined with modest audience scores and sparse marketing buzz, meant theatrical profitability was unlikely. As a result, the film became one of Warner Brothers' costliest misses of early 2025. That said, some critics noted strong critical support and growing fan interest post-theatrically, suggesting the film may find life on streaming and niche fandom, though theatrical revenue alone fell well short of expectations. Axios, plus 6. Capstone Companies, plus 6. Decider, +6. Decider, +13. Filmophilia, +13. Slash film, +13. The Wrap, eMarketer, The Wrap, +4. Variety Australia, +4. Variety Australia, +4. Here's how Mickey 17 is currently available, and the optimal way to experience it for full emotional and visual impact. Film projector in theaters. No longer playing. It had a theatrical release on March 7th, 2025, in the U.S. and February 28th in South Korea. Polygon, +15. Wikipedia, +15. Amazon, +15. House home viewing options. Streaming. Now available to stream on HBO Max in the U.S. and other international markets, with the platforms available. What to watch. +1. Roku, +1. Also part of Hulu, with HBO Max add-on. Bundle. Hulu, +1. Polygon, +1. Premium Video on Demand, PVOD. On April 8th, 2025, Disney/Warner Brothers released it for digital rental or purchase at $24.99 on platforms like Prime Video, Apple TV, Fandango at Home, and Google Play. Decider, +2. Forbes, +2. What to watch, +2. Physical copies, 4K Blu-ray, Blu-ray DVD, were released on May 13th, 2025, featuring bonus behind-the-scenes content. The Wrap, +1. Wikipedia, +1. Other platforms. Available via DirecTV, Sling TV, and streaming through Roku channels. Roku. Magnifying glass still to the left best way to watch. First, stream in 4K on HBO Max. If you have access, this preserves Bong's meticulous visual design, color grading, and spatial imagery. For immersive audiovisual quality, rent or buy the 4K Blu-ray for the highest fidelity and special features like Behind the Lens and World Reimagined. Polygon, +5. Wikipedia, +5. What to watch, +5. The Wrap. The PVOD option is great if you don't subscribe to HBO Max but still want a high-quality digital viewing experience. Direct-hit viewing experience insights. Streaming offers ease and accessibility, ensuring you catch the film's intricate world-building and philosophical nuances. 4K Blu-ray is the ideal choice for cinephiles. Superior image and sound, plus bonus extras enhancing appreciation of Bong Joon-ho's creative process. White heavy checkmark third-person perspective summary. Audiences can now access Mickey 17 across multiple platforms. While its theatrical run has ended, streaming on HBO Max delivers a polished viewing experience with crisp visuals and atmospheric audio. For viewers seeking the fullest sensory immersion and insider insight, the 4K Blu-ray release, complete with bonus features, is the best way to experience the film's layered production design, score, and narrative craftsmanship. Where to watch Mickey 17. What to watch. How to watch Mickey 17. 9 days ago. Decider. Stream it or skip it. Mickey 17 on VOD, Bong Joon-ho's wackadoo sci-fi lark offering up a double dose of Robert Pattinson. April 19th, 2025. Decider. Mickey 17 comes to digital, but when will Mickey 17 be streaming on Max? April 7th, 2025. Sources. Ask ChatGPT. Mickey 17, franchise or historical context. Third-person perspective in-depth discussion. Mickey 17 exists not within a traditional historical framework, but as a sci-fi adaptation and potential franchise launcher, rooted in a literary source with rich thematic potential. Directed by Bong Joon-ho and adapted from Edward Ashton's novel Mickey 7, the film introduces audiences to a futuristic, existentially charged world of human cloning, space colonization, and identity crises. While Mickey 17 is not technically part of an established cinematic franchise, at least not yet, it holds significant franchise potential and fits within a broader historical context of science fiction cinema that interrogates the ethics of technology, labor, and the self. ###1. Adaptation from source material. Continuity and expansion ***. Mickey 17 adapts the Mickey 7 novel, but diverges in tone, narrative focus, and scope. Bong Joon-ho reinterprets Ashton's dry, darkly comic prose through his own lens, retaining the concept of disposable clone, but transforming the story into a more thematically dense, emotionally resonant work. The film lays groundwork for future installments by establishing a complex universe of clone ethics, hierarchical systems, and planetary colonization. Introducing unresolved character arcs and moral dilemmas that suggest further exploration. Leaving open the possibility of other expendables, other colonies, or future rebellions, effectively crafting a blueprint for an extended universe. In this way, the film acts as a first chapter rather than a self-contained story, akin to how Dune, Part 1 of the Hunger Games, initiated broader narratives rooted in literature. #2. Franchise potential. Foundations for a sci-fi series ***. While Mickey 17 is currently a standalone film, its structure and world building suggest strong franchise aspirations. Elements that support this include world expansion ***, the detailed depiction of the colony, planetary conditions, and systemic protocols hint at a broader universe beyond Mickey's story. Mythology of the Expendables ***, the moral and psychological implications of cloning could be explored through different perspectives in sequels, other Expendables, rebels, or colonists. Ambiguous endings ***, without revealing spoilers. The film leaves certain threads open, particularly regarding the fate of multiple Mickeys, the authority system, and the ethical trajectory of the colony. If expanded, the franchise could evolve into a sci-fi anthology or serialized narrative akin to Black Mirror, Blade Runner, or The Expanse, tackling ethical questions across varied scenarios. #3. Historical context. Place in sci-fi cinema tradition ***. Though not a historical film in subject matter, Mickey 17 sits within a significant lineage of philosophical science fiction cinema. It echoes and reinterprets elements from earlier works, including Blade Runner, 1982/2049,